Friends, I see many of you are feeling better about the Crimson Tide. Me too, I guess. But there are concerns that cannot be glazed over. Believe me, that and more right here around the herd. Roll Tide, everybody roll tide, y'all. Welcome to Tight Sports. This is Tight Sports. This is the Alabama Football Megacast and the People's Crimson Tide Network. Well, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming over and checking me out on whichever virtual space you have selected for your pleasure. Come on in and sit a spell. Tell a friend to lock me in, and let's talk about your Crimson Tide, the greatest football dynasty that the world has ever seen. High school, college, or pro. Come on in, share a pound with a brother, and drop that thing right on the subscribe button as you settle in. Let's come on in and catch a vibe and help the tide thrive, and let's blast this channel to deep in the 5 sub-regions of the internet. With your help, we will clearly be a 20,000, probably 10,000 subscribe channel by the time next time the tide gets to number 19. You know, y'all do want number 19, don't you? Well, that's what we're here to do. To get fired up about the 19th championship of the University of Alabama. And if I successfully stimulate the happy juice in your gray matter and make your funny bone jiggle, please let the algorithm know by poking that like button right now. You know what I'm talking about. Let's get it done. Right off the bat, I got to get into some old business. Promises made, promises kept. I did my best. Against the Warhawks, Crimson Tide quarterbacks threw more than 2 touchdowns in the game. More than 2. I think Ty had 3, Austin had 2, Keelan had 2. And I was thinking to myself, when's the last time that happened? So I started researching, and a bunch of games popped up. Even one of the chat bots I use, they said, oh, that's a rare stat. I like, no-ish Sherlock. It's very rare. But here's what I find out. To my knowledge, that has never happened. There has never been 3 quarterbacks that have gone to a game and thrown even 1 touchdown in the same game, let alone 3 that have thrown for multiple of 2 or more. If there was an OC under Great Bear Bryant that would even try to do that, probably would have found himself at the business end of an axe handle. They threw the ball, but not very much. I mean, you know, like Joe Namath, Bart Starr, and them people being 11 for 15. It's like, whoa. You get a little pass after, aren't you? But I mean, if you find it, let me know, because I couldn't find it. I was thrown in a lot of different directions, and you know, I worked at that thing for a good 11 minutes, and I couldn't find anywhere where that had ever happened before, which leads me to believe that this man, Kellen DeBoer, has done something that's never been done by any of our legendary or GOAT level coaches. See, we got both. You got Wallace Wade, you got Gene Stall. They're still legendary. And a lot of people got in that championship, folks. Then you got the GOAT level. So you got legendary, and you got GOAT level. We got both. I know some of y'all may have legendary, you know, even though they never won that championship, y'all still call them legendary. Okay, I give it to you. Had a lot of great players go to the NFL and never won a championship. That's all right. Got a lot of conference championship, never won that championship. That's all right. Call them what you want to call them. But we do have bona fide legendary coaches. About 3 or 4, to be honest. And then we got 2 GOATs. So, GOATs of their era. You can go Jordan versus LeBron, you know, Bear versus Saban, given the times. I just call both of them GOATs because I couldn't coach the Alabama Crimson Tide on how to get out of a dark Walmart. So I'm giving both of them the respect. On to this week's presser as we get ready for them bastards. I mean, the Badgers of Wisconsin. Woo! Alabama fans trying to exhale now. Coach DeBoer gave an update on running back Jam Miller, who left the game, who never got in the game, but he was banged up. The news isn't a season crusher. He's working through it. He did work out before the game. They decided not to give it a go. They're going to give it a go, I think, against Wisconsin, which I'm like, you got a whole little minor surgery, but it's any surgery minor that involves anesthesia. Oh, no, you know, Jam kind of hard. He may have just took it like, just do it, doc. Go, keep going. I don't know. He kind of hard. I'm assuming there was anesthesia. If you got surgery and tight, it's anesthesia involved. Jam, I don't know. The boy kind of hard. So he praised Miller's toughness, pointing out that he's been battling through the bumps all camp and things are getting better. But got a lot of depth in that backfield, as you saw. Did you see AK there? Well, I was so proud of them freshmen getting out there doing their thing. Just see AK did get a whole 70-yard touchdown or 50, whatever it was, alone. They couldn't catch him. And now I had to sit on that bench and don't get no work. That just made me happy. But you got Richard Young, Daniel Hill, everybody's back there doing the Draylen Washington. We got a lot of horsepower back there. You know what I'm saying? Even if one of our hot rods need a little tune-up, we got one in the shop, but we still running with about 4 or 5 back there. But Miller's presence matters though, because he's the kind of back that punishes defenses, and he hasn't turned the ball over in his career, to my knowledge. That's the stats I found, and I found that to be crazy because he has carried the ball 600 times. 600 times. Don't we have to stop the game and cry if he does? That's why I just let that man coast on over to Tennessee so he can put that work in against Tennessee. But he knows that the board knows that Wisconsin brings a sledgehammer type of football, and Miller's presence being physical, it may be tailor-made for that kind of matchup. So, but without him, we still need to stick to that raw, smash mouth running game. And the boy was steady. He wasn't panicked. He said he's going to monitor him, keep monitoring him, and keep it all going. So, man, I cannot. I get caught up. Cause I'm thinking like, man, we had a horrible loss. Score didn't reflect how bad it was, really, but it was a horrible loss. We got this almost a picture perfect win, but we'll get into more of that later. But Ty Simpson looked pretty good out there in the last game. Everybody was clicking, but we gotta do better. The special teams, who I really have had my thumb on for a while, saying that's gonna be a source. But I was happy to see Talty was looking pretty good, and they just did a good job. Talty was doing good. The punter was ridiculously good. Cole Adams, what more can I say? I told y'all he's going to be that kind of player. He's going to be a possession receiver. But to see that man get on special teams and make it happen, I would like to see that continue for the rest of the year. He's slick. He's slick with it. He's very slick with it. But the big picture is, the boy he struck a tone of a man that's confident but cautious. Alabama is rolling pretty good, but he knows, Wisconsin is a team. They'll punish you if you get arrogant. If you like that, I know what they did like this year so far, but if you go in there slipping, if you go in there not full throttle, if you go in there and you don't have it turned up and everybody getting the way they're supposed to be, Wisconsin can make you pay. They can, it'd be harder for them to do on our field, but I feel good about it going into the game, but you gotta be careful. I want to see him firing on that cylinder, not just because it's ULM, but because they're just another team on the other side of the field. I want to see if they play with that kind of vinegar for the rest of the season. Who gonna stop me, boo? Who gonna stop me? If you play like that against, let's say, the average SEC team, and I don't even know how many superior ones we got right now, because they're saying like the SEC is wide open. I don't know, by week 6, everybody may have an L upside their head, some way, some form, some fashion. Especially if Mississippi State start coming up, smacking folks around, everybody can have an L. Especially if Kentucky keep competing. So it's wide open. Shout out to Tez. He said it could be a 3-loss SEC team in the playoffs. I said no, never. Oh no, but no, things are balancing out. So we got to go in and get after it. Offensive coordinator Ryan, he couldn't hide it. He couldn't hide his excitement about Ty Simpson's growth, seeing the field well, and emphasizing how the Tide is finding the sweet spot between explosive shots and long plays and just getting explosives from both games. But a lot of this comes out of this game we just played, because we ain't seen none of that against Florida State. Kane Womack, he was talking about the communication. Discipline was up. ULM is not very complicated. The most complicated thing they did the other night was play 2 quarterbacks. One was more of a pocket passer who could scramble. The other guy is more of a real dual threat. That's about the extent of it. So, I mean, he was hyped up about the pass rush, but, he said we're getting better at dictating the tone. And, he wants to get to the point where we make, kind of make offensive coordinators sleep with the lights on at night, and maybe a couple quarterbacks, but we still not getting no sacks. More on that later. Said something about The punter did a good job, but we got to suffocate the Badgers. You got to put their head on the water and just they stop moving. You look, you guys. I'm sorry, it's a horrible process, but that's what we gotta do. But Alabama sounds like a squad hitting its stride at the right time. I don't know about that because next month is like Wisconsin is bringing Big Ten muscle, but we ready to do it. Send them back to Camp Randall with some tears in their eyes. And the press conference about Luke Fickell. If you don't know who Fickell is, the Fickleator, he's the coach of Wisconsin. He was at Cincinnati, took Cincinnati to the playoffs. I don't think he's gotten the team where he wants to be. I think he's like a 4-year guy, but you can do it at Cincinnati. I don't even know. I think that was before NIL, but if you can get to the playoffs at Cincinnati, I'm sure Wisconsin is going to become a formidable foe for somebody in the Big Ten with Luke Fickell at the helm. But he strode up to the mic, he had a look on his face like, he running into a buzzsaw because the team, I don't think they're ready. They're a 21-point underdog. And when he's asked about Alabama, he was saying, yeah, talent, they got much talent you want to see anywhere. He admitted the Tide had a balanced offense as well. It's a nightmare. And I just translated that into the Wisconsin defense is already checking under their bed for the weapons of the Crimson Tide offense. They when they get up in the morning, they're looking around. Did you see Lysia Brooks? That's on the bench, folks. Because Ryan Williams got dinged up. Jerry Bernard produced in both games. I ain't worried about him. He going to be running. You got to find him. Because if Ty find him before the defense does, it's over. But if you got some Lysia running around, some Isaiah, some Cole, some Ryan with some Hollywood running clean routes, and they're going to get them routes going to get cleaned by the middle of the year. You watch. It's going to be something. It's going to be something as long as they keep that same intensity. Fickell also praised Alabama offensive line for being big, physical, and athletic, which is basically polite for saying, they'll flatten you like a pancake if you blink. If your technique bad, you going down. We didn't see that, Mr. Fickell. I appreciate the compliment, but I didn't see that against Florida State. I didn't see too much flattening the pancakes out there. He said, he knows we're speedy at receiver. His description was something like he was describing like a track team just showed up at a football game and said, hey, I'll run with y'all. On defense, he kept it classy, calling it a disruptive group. I kind of would slightly agree with that sentiment. We have work to do. He also highlighted our depth in the secondary and in the backs, but saying that they're big, they basically was saying like our backups can start anywhere in the country. We know that, but especially in the Big Ten, as they've taken several of them, and they are starters right now. It's proof. But we got to pick up our QB pressure. Not our pressure, but our sacks. We get a lot of pressure, but we're not getting sacks. We got 2 games, 3 sacks. I do not think we recorded a sack, and every sack we got against Florida State was definitely a mistake on their part, and maybe some was lost in their communication of their plays, or maybe held the ball too long, or he just got caught slipping, Mr. Thomas Castellanos. But in his last game, 0 sacks. That's a problem, folks. 0 sacks, 73 points. Great. Zilch, want the 0 more than I want sacks. But when it comes to the other teams that will score 10 points, 17 points, you kind of want them sacks. So I saw him get there, and I'll get to it in a minute, but we got some work needs to be done. In the end, Fickell did what a good underdog coach should do. He hyped his guys up while throwing bouquets at Alabama. He insisted that Wisconsin is focused on being themselves. They're going to be themselves and playing physical. This is all admirable stuff, but let's be honest. Based on what I've seen, at full throttle, Alabama should win this game by at least 28 points. Does anybody disagree? But I still got some issues with Coach Kane, man. He stepped up to the podium and did something rare that you don't see too much in coaching. Instead of throwing people under the bus, he flat out took the blame for, the number of sacks that we've gotten this year in the early part of the season. Like I said, 3 in 2 games, 1.5. And, but he has turned up the pressure, but he knows that pressures without sacks, don't show up on the scoreboard. Sacks show up on the scoreboard. They show up in 3rd and longs, first of all. 2nd and longs, they show up in holding penalties. Like you gotta hold him, push him, something to keep him from hitting your quarterback. It shows them holding penalties. If you think you're gonna get back there and you got a quarterback with escapability, you're like, oh, he got through? Oh, he good, he got through. And you may not want to go all out. But when that quarterback's hit and he gets on the sideline, he start cussing out his doggone lineman, trust me, it changes the game. It changes the scoreboard. In the SEC country, it almost doesn't count. Almost doesn't count in the SEC country. You got to get those sacks. He wants to work on that. I'm sure he will. But it's nothing worse than having a great fishing trip planned out. You got your potted meat, you got your saltine crackers, you got some peanut butter and jelly crackers or sandwiches and crackers and stuff. You got your RC cola sitting right there at your side and your bag of peanuts. If you don't know about the RC cola and the peanut, just email me and I'll explain to you. RC cola and your peanuts. If you don't know nothing about that, and you go out there, you drive you get up early. And it's a perfect trip. The weather is good, not too hot, not too windy, not too cold. And you get out there and you're fishing for like 4 hours. And you ain't catch nothing. Just empty-handed. That's what a bag full of quarter QB pressures are, not having a sack. You out there, you got a couple of hits. Who want to get hit when you fish? You want to fish. So he praised, Womack praised the Tide's effort of being a disruptive presence up front, but he admitted they have another gear that they haven't hit yet. And that's what it's going to take. You're going to get to that gear. I would say they went from being in first, maybe even in neutral, during Florida State game. They came out playing like that. I don't know how you do it, but they dropped that thing, put it right in third against ULM. But I think this defense does have a six speed, and we need to get there really quick. We need to be on we need to be in fourth gear coming up on Saturday. But by the time we come from that bye week, this 6 speed need to be rolling. It need to be rolling hard going into Georgia. But just want to dictate that stuff, man. I love the shutout. I absolutely cherish the shutout that we pitched the other day. But not one sack is kind of crazy. But he took blame, saying his job. Womack said his job is to put players in position to finish plays, not just to create chaos. And maybe he has done a lot of orchestrating to create that chaos, but he wanted them to finish. So he's going to try to do more to help them get to where they need to be. Defenses can't be satisfied with just forcing hurried throws to the quarterback, and he's still standing up. It's clear that he wants the Alabama's pass rushers to turn it loose and, turn up those highlight reels and stop letting quarterbacks slip away like soap in the shower. No diddy. I don't know what shower we're talking about. But anyway, he also said that, not just on the front four, but blitz packages, timing, communications all play a role. Because I think they still are. They reacted a lot faster than they did against FSU, but he wants them to go a little further. He wants that brute force. He wants them hitting the bullseye, not just getting around it. We have the ammo. Now it's time for guys to start pulling the trigger and making them hits, getting those TFLs, tackle for loss. It wasn't all doom and gloom. He was very complimentary of the people that played of what they did, but I got to admit, I will give him credit for taking responsibility for that, for the lack of sacks, and knowing that there's more. He knows there's more. They're putting people in the game, they're rotating people. We should always be buzzing high. And buzzing high because we're on the field for less than 5 plays or less. They're not getting here or there. We're not letting, a couple third downs, third and longs turn to 1st and 10s. So I will say I do feel better this Tuesday versus last Tuesday, but I still have concerns. You have to have concerns with this rendition of the Crimson Tide. I mean, it's been a good comeback, but it was ULM. But here's some concerns that could pop up against the Badgers. Badgers, not the other word. And there's the issues that could most definitely, these are issues that have to be eliminated by the time you face Georgia. And as I mentioned earlier, the pass rush, finishing these issues. Man loves pressure, but we love the pressure, but the sacks gotta turn it up. He poured himself. Kane Womack did that. We have to finish these plays, but if you let a quarterback stay on his feet too long, they will burn you. That's why Alabama, to me, even in the Saban era, we got burned against Ole Miss. Because they got the blind side over there, not letting nobody in. He supposed to move the way. You that stinking Ole Miss, man. What you playing so hard for? Anyway, he shut it down. So when you let people stay up, it don't work. They get confident. They think they're untouchable. You got to touch them. We got to plant them suckers in the turf. Every time you get a chance. That's the piece that has to be expected from the doggone defense. That's what's going to make people get jittery back there, start looking around, taking their first read, second read. They running by the time it's third and fourth. They ain't going no third and fourth read. They coming. And you don't want none. Offensive line consistency. Yeah, we have linemen. They're saying even right now there may be a battle now between is it London Simmons? Can't remember, but it's a freshman. And Welcome Formby. Now, when Grubb said that, I think you got to say it, kind of keep it going out there. But we got to be consistent. We mauled LSU, yeah. But we wondering will it hold up against the elite fronts. I don't even know if FSU is elite yet. But will it hold up against, I guess, a Texas or Georgia, even Wisconsin? One thing they are in Wisconsin, they big and strong. The whole agility thing, the dynamic play, but they big and strong. But you got to give Ty, whoever, and this whole controversy, I got so many views. I know it's like clickbait. I really don't want to bait folks in like that unless it's like something jovial. And as the Keelan Russell, is he going to be the new starting quarterback? Why is nobody doing at least is Austin Mack the quarterback? I mean, he the one came in cold and delivered like he's been there the whole time. I mean, they need to stop that. I question these people's connection to the team. You're a little young buck quarterback. You got your first two stars under your belt. You're 1-1, and you're looking out there in the YouTube world, and they're talking about you're going to be the starter next week. And it's an Alabama channel. That comes from somebody that's a neutral channel or somebody that's just covering college football. That's fine. But for it to come from somebody to call themselves Alabama, I don't know, a bigger homer type channel like mine, I mean, it's just dumb. Ty has done nothing to be benched. Ty was not going to change. He couldn't have changed the Tide at FSU. Ty was not the problem. Now, some of them other folks, bring them up during the FSU game. You watch the film on Hubbard. Two Hubbards play for Alabama now. The one that played against FSU and the one I hope we see for the rest of the season. Bray Hubbard is the one that need to look for a place on the bench, as far as I can see. But this offensive line, man, we got to give our man a quarterback time to make some moves. The running game defense. Seminoles was strong running game. Warhawks, weak running game. The Crimson Tide is giving up 161.5 yards per game. That has them listed as 102 or 102nd or 102nd ranked rush defense in the country. Pass defenses, I think they're up in the top 30s. 161 ain't gonna cut it. Ain't gonna cut it. We were lower than that when we lost to Vandy. Probably about 131, finished the whole season, 131, about 140 when we played Vandy. When we played Oklahoma. when we was battling against Tennessee, when we played Michigan last year, 161 yards. Now, I know most of that goes to FSU, but like I said, I don't know, is FSU elite? They sure made us look like they were elite. We got to get into the top 20. Can Coach Kane get that number down to 110 yards per game? Can he do it? It's going to be necessary to win 9 to 10 games. 9 to 10 more games. Now, 9 plus 1 be 10, and let 10 plus, yeah. Can he do it? Because anything else is going to be uncivilized. 161 yards per game? We better hope they don't have another, what's the boy name, Ron Dane, or one of them other Heisman Trophy people out there running this year at Wisconsin. Because Ron Dane had blocking. That dude that played plays for the Colts right now. Can't think of his name. He didn't need much blocking because he was fast as a whip. Can we get that number down starting this weekend? When I come in here, will I be telling you we are not 161 yards per game? We are 130 something and dropping. So I'm telling you, one thing Georgia can do, their quarterback is, I hear people complain. I don't watch. They hear people complain, but they still run the ball. You can up jump the boogie and run the ball in a matter of a decision. Like, I think we would run it for the rest of the night. Yeah. There's somebody getting a 161, secondary depth. Starting DBs look strong. But, I'm uneasy about the backups. We get an injury to a corner, and that means we're going to push these young. I would say they're not tested, but they have been cooked. DBs in the game. After Dijon Lee got out there and got toasted like a hotel bagel on a Monday morning, when we play FSU, I just wonder how great the room is. Now, I told you the media, the beat writers and all the media that visited Tuscaloosa who got the credentials to get in the game, they didn't lie to us. Pro Football Focus told us, they're one of the best rooms in the nation of DB. I don't believe none of them. They're going to show it. But I'm telling you, there's some depth on the field. Zabe and I can't want to call dude Dominion, but our starting quarterbacks are together. I think we got a good third. But some of these teams in the whole game, you start playing against Tennessee, you may need a good 6 that can play. It worries me because not really tested a whole bunch against FSU, but you saw when we got tested, got scorched. But what happens when you play against people that want to throw the ball whenever they want to throw it, like a Tennessee? What happens to that defensive backfield end? Because that's going to be the first real passing test. May get a little work this weekend, but Wisconsin still likes to pound the ball. I don't know if they play hurry up or not. I can't remember what Fickle does. I just worry. Like, we go up there and play them doggone Tennessee Volunteers with they stinking, snitching selves. Is this room going to be ready? Next, tackling fundamentals. Even in the blowout, there were a few missed tackles that made everybody groan. Sometimes it didn't matter. It was a third down. Maybe they got close to getting the first down sometimes. It was against Louisiana Monroe. That's fine. It may happen against Wisconsin. They are bruisers, though. I wouldn't miss too many tackles if I was you. But against Georgia's 5 stars, against them snitches of Tennessee, against their 5 stars, are we going to be ready? Huh? I mean, I don't know if you saw it. Tackles were missed. The defense did a better job at maintaining leverage this game as opposed to FSU because that could be like the athleticism of our players. Even though our players were definitely hustling at a level 10, despite the lack of sacks, got plenty of pressures. But I saw tackles that were missed that should have been for losses. It's great to get there, but you got to finish them off, gents. I worry about that against even a Wisconsin. I mean, what if we go from this extreme with FSU, this extreme with ULM, and then this game this weekend ends up like over in this extreme? where we look good to be playing a little bit below average team. I think Wisconsin, what are they? They're still in the top 50. But it's nothing to write home about. But what if we just competing with them? We win the game by 10. What if? Because these little things, running back health. Now, that's an issue only because Jam Miller is hurt, and I don't want him to get hurt further, but if they try to play him and something happens, it's going to be like, But I think they ought to let that man sit, really let him sit. I was starting probably at Georgia. That gives them a lot more time to heal. You got a deep backfield. You got a bunch of young folks, man. I mean, Richard Young. You got people, Daniel Hill. I guess we have to test that shoulder maybe early in the Wisconsin game, but yeah, I guess you do because you don't want to test it against Georgia. That could lead to a fumble, and we don't need no fumble. Or a bigger injury. So just test it now. I guess they're going to determine if they want to test it out, and we'll see if we can still – we should be able to dominate them in the running game without Jam, but I know you got to look at it. Would you rather test it against Georgia or test it against Wisconsin? I don't know. Maybe he gets to start, get a couple carries, see how it feels, and come sit down somewhere. I don't know. Penalties and discipline. Okay, discipline was way off against FSU. It was off. But we did we racked up some flags this thing, a lot of pre-snap flags. And as somebody posted, and I'll never forget this, somebody posted, Bama can beat Bama easier than anyone else. And that's true, especially when it comes to penalties, for people that want to throw the ball 43 times and run the ball 23 times. You know, that's all we've seen, really. You know, defensive issues, but 13 flags this year thus far for 125 yards. And you know how I like the numbers around here, folks? If you've been with me for a while, you already know how I translate that. What happens when you go a full hundo of the football field just because of penalty? You just gave up a touchdown. You run 125 yards on the football field, it's touchdown. Penalties lead to touchdowns for your opponent. Even if it started at FSU and it carries on to touchdown. 7 of those 31 points belong to penalties. You add them up. You extend the series. You keep the defense on the field longer. You advancing the ball so they can kick field goals. But 125 yards, last time I looked, adds up to a touchdown. This team has to focus. And it's been a problem for 5 years. You can go look it up. I think 2021 was when it kind of popped back up, reared its ugly head. But it popped back up. Then we have to stay under 5 penalties a game. Prefer to have 2, but you got to stay under 5. I don't care if they're the worst of the variation. I don't want to see no more unsportsmanlike conducts unless it's like a bullcrap targeting thing, which you really can't control all the time. But all this other stuff, just sloppy, getting out of position, you jumping, you don't know your quarterback's voice. Got to stay under 5. These are things that worry me because they're still there. They're going to hurt you eventually against a Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri. Somebody is going to hurt you. Vanderbilt's around the corner. With 161 yards per game, Pavia may be salivating right now. I was about to go into the Pavlov experiment because I heard Pavia and my brain got stuck. That's okay. Happy hour was very good today. Anyway, special teams consistency. I've already told you guys, everything looks stable right now. Everything looks clean in the running game, especially with Cole back there receiving. Not sure about the kickoffs because the kickoffs, I don't think we had too many kickoffs come out of the end zone. But I have felt this for a long time in my gut because everybody's so new. I used to think a whole game, but eventually special team may cost us a whole half for the season's over. Now, I've made room in my mind for 2 losses already. Unfortunately, we got one ugly one right now. But don't be surprised if it rears its head. I mean, Talty did good, but everybody being so new, it's like at one time it just may all come together and just have one collective brain fart. Maybe they'll let go of a return, a kickoff return or a punt return, but And I think it'll happen before we get to Game 7. Because after Game 7, I think they'll be fine. But it still bothers me. I like what Cole's doing. Man, I know you want to get Mbakwe back there to return punts, but do you have any reason not to put Cole Adams back there as long as he's healthy? And get that man some shine, get that man some tick. And he plays pretty good as an option as a receiver, too. Like he knows all where he's supposed to be. He knows all the routes. Now, red zone efficiency, this is the one that's not too big, but, you know, when it comes to before you get to the red zone, you got to do these things called first downs. Of course, against ULM, no problem. But going back to FSU, I'm going to be looking this weekend to see if we get to the red zone and come out with more than the field goals. I don't want to see us kicking field goals against inferior opponents. And I see Wisconsin right now as less than. ULM didn't have. I think Wisconsin is less than. So even in a blowout, when you go to the message boards, look around, we have some couple stalls that stalled out, and maybe because they were tired, I don't know. But we need to make sure when we get in the red zone we can execute. I got kind of scared when I saw I don't know, when Jalen ran the play it was different. But when Ty did the naked boot, he looked like Preach on the Rev on remember the Titans? They did that play. It was something similar. I said he remind me of Preach on remember the Titans. I told y'all Ty got some wheels. There ain't nobody got too many people got Jalen Milroe wheels at quarterback. But Ty got some wheels. I was scared because I didn't want him to get hit. I don't want my quarterback to get banged up. That's fine, but I don't want to be doing a whole bunch of that. But this red zone efficiency thing wasn't the biggest deal against the Warhawks. We had about 3 punts and 2 field goal attempts against FSU. You got to get better at converting out a third downs or getting to third and shorts. And when we get down into scoring range, we'll be able to keep going so we can have red zone opportunities. So overall, the Tide is ranked 4th in the nation in red zone efficiency. So we have plenty of meat to shave off that bone. We got to get down there. We got to get these numbers up. Top 20 is championship level stuff. Top 10 is championship playoffs. Top 20 in all categories, as many as you can. We can lead in categories like ugliest male cheerleaders or something like that, or stuntmen, whatever you prefer. But we can't be down in the top 50 in this. We can be 49th as, overall weight of the majorettes in the SEC or in the country. We can be, we can be down there. That's an inverse because the lighter weight teams will be at the top. And you know what I'm saying? That's fine. For the worst truck players in college football, we can be way down there. But when it comes to red zone efficiency, as I said, the same thing for rushing attempts, rushing yards allowed per game. We have to get in the top 20 to get this thing started off right. And last but not least, depth across the defensive front. You guys know Tim Keenan didn't play, but boy, as you see, he got into Coach DeBoer's ear and gave that man a pep talk. I said, I wish he would just slapped him on his ass. Like, let's go, coach. But Tim didn't want to. He missed the first game. He wasn't even there. He was glad to be out on the field, but he really wanted to play. He's not ready yet. But we want that second unit to be able to keep the standard because the second unit is not a first unit. You got a long grind ahead. I told you, you got to get these guys mentally prepared to play a 17 games season at Alabama. Whether that's SEC championship, whether that's first round bye, no first round bye, eventually it will come a season when Alabama will win the SEC championship and play in every game or every week of the college football playoffs, and they got to finish. So these guys got to be ready to go. The top guys definitely are monsters. They have yet to play together yet, but do we trust the next wave? And I'm glad they're getting this work early because, we rotate a lot of linemen. I think they play about 7 of them, 6 or 7. But, some of them are young. So with all these injuries, this is a serious situation. This is a serious situation. So Tim Keenan, ankle, he suffered that in, where is he? He suffered that, had to have the tightrope surgery in there. He's expected to return soon, but he's a co-captain. He's a force. He's NFL draft bona fide. They ready to come get him, pick him up. Jeremiah Beeman, I think he's gone for the year. But he was one of our he was a second string behind Keenan or Smith. So he suffered that in practice, and he's gone. Significant loss because he's a highly talented. He's been turning it on since the Michigan game. He was highly talented recruit, and he was, we're going to see him next year, hopefully. And he will come back probably as a starter. I don't even know what the injury is right offhand. I can't remember. But, the team has a few other inexperienced linemen that are hurt or that have been banged up. But James Smith and Edric Hill, I think Edric Hill may have got banged up. I think he's okay. But they being asked to stand up. My man, London Simmons, that's the defensive lineman freshman. He was out there. He was trying to get, he was out there, had to get some. He's a big guy. He was out there. He had to get in there and get some of that fire. Roll Tide to you, Brian W. Thank you for chiming in. Spread the word. We out here. I'm keeping it real. I still got concerns, Brian. If you got some too, let me know. But while many have the chance to play, will they be SEC ready after these first 3 games? Because we know go check the schedule. We got some people coming in. We got that lineup is ugly. And defensive line being banged up and starters getting hurt and people coming back off of surgery and stuff, it's scary. Because when those SEC teams start coming around, those guys are like diesel engines. And if you can't stop them from enforcing their will on your team, woo! So I've been around I think 2 years. I had my anniversary the other day. Yeah, happy anniversary to me. But I've been cheering for the Crimson Tide. Back in the day when the snot would run down your nose and would crust up right there, and your mom be like, "Boy, come here, stop playing football, come over here." Yeah, I've been cheering for the Tide that long. It's been a while. Yeah. Walter Lewis, that's my favorite quarterback. Yeah, go look him up. But these guys have been asked to play big roles, and it's time to show and prove, But the road ahead is very difficult. And if we don't stop these linemen, we know good and well they will run right through the teeth of our defense, and it'll make another long, miserable day like we had watching the FSU game. ULM was great, good for, the spirits, get your spirits up good. That was the first full scrimmage, I call it. I call it as the first full-fledged scrimmage, and we passed it with flying colors. But coming to Wisconsin, going to be a lot more than a scrimmage because I think they do have some athletes. They always putting people from their trenches into the NFL. Maybe not a whole bunch of them. You got to be careful. I don't know if it's going to come from – I'm going to break it down Thursday. It may be from the defensive side. It may be from the offensive side. 2 on defense or 2 on offense or 2 and 1, 1 and 2. I guarantee you they have people in their trenches that are slated to play in the NFL. Maybe late round picks, but people are already looking at that's typically what Wisconsin has done ever since the days of Barry Alvarez. That's what they do. They put big guys in the league. My Steelers got 2 of them right now. Thank God they're not playing on Saturday. But I will tell you, I'm going to run. I have a volunteer organization meeting. They want me to tell them how much money we have in our account. Luckily, the Tide won by 40 and everything paid off. So this will be a great meeting, okay? Positive vibe meeting. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But I just want to remind everybody, between your family, your vocation, and I should have said this first, even your faith, please give back to the community and to try to create the kind of community that you want to thrive and survive in and want your grandkids to be in. And more importantly, have a great community for the Crimson Tide to reign supreme in. Garrett White, man, Bama soft, LSU coming to Tuscaloosa. I hope you're ready. All the best. Go Tigers. Let me tell you something, Garrett. Gary, I looked at our schedule, Gary, and I'm gonna be honest with you. LSU and Missouri may be the softest teams we have left on our schedule. Just gotta be honest. Oklahoma defense puts them over the top. I'm just being serious. That don't mean just because y'all like tissue cotton, toilet tissue like soft. And I'm not even talking about on the field. I'm talking about your coach on the sideline. He's soft. If Kellen DeBoer and Kelly got in a fight, it looked like two cheerleading captains fighting, but DeBoer would win. Size, size, just based off size. But it look, they do all that. I'm just being honest. Our coach don't look very tough. Your coach like a pissed off PE teacher. Anyway, so I'm don't forget to give. I'm gonna get out of here. Don't forget to give brother a pound on that subscribe button. Hit that notification so you'll know when we go live and drop a video. And who is this? Hit the nail on the head about. And I want to tell the truth if I can. Hey, I would trade, but I can't take Kelly, man, because he kind of ished on Notre Dame, and then what happens? Your former team, I think, with his players, go to the finals. Not good. Have you heard of him? Yeah. I'm over there on Kangaroo Black sometime. Just hollering at him. But with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Shout out to Be Sharp and the Sharpshooters Podcast. Shout out to Kangaroo Black. Shout out to Bama Moore, The Long Run with Piano Man, Rags and Fitness. Roll Tide to all of y'all, including Brian W. And Brian W. because I think everybody else was just chiming in from other places. And so Roll Tide to Brian W. And I want to say thank you all for making Alabama great always. Roll Tide to and I want to say peace into the brothers at Auburn Addicts, Water Cooler Podcast, Bub and Old Man. It's SEC season with my man Tez, who I'm about to go and check him out right now. That's It's SEC season with my man Tez. Dustin at the Up Tempo Podcast. Dustin is a great man from down there in Tampa Bay, Florida. Auburn fan, Bucks fan, and the Tampa Bay Lightning fan. Shout out to the Huggy Beard himself, Vandy Chris at the Golden Broom Podcast. They are a fine group of Crimson Tide hating and doubting Americans. And with that, we will see you next time on Thursday. Should be 5 p.m. as my JV schedule is it says 6:30. So I may come in at 4:30. I told you I got to balance this JV schedule out there because my son out there slapping people in the chest, and I like it. So I got to see it, put it on film, put it on wax. So, when they say, Mr. Howard, we want you to come and your son and do this, and like, 600,000. That's just for me. That's just, I don't know what he wants. But we'll see you next time we're around the herd. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Most days between 4 and 6 on Thursday until the JV football schedule is over. And after JV, I'll be back I think I'm going to 7 p.m. But with that, always remember, folks, roll, tide, roll.